You are listening to the Project Management Podcast. We bring project management topics to beginners and experts. Find us on the web at pmpodcast.blogspot.com or send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com. Hello and welcome to show number 10. I am Cornelius Fichtner. This is the Project Management Podcast for the 5th of November 2005, and today you're going to get some training. But before we move on to the main section of the show, as usual, a few announcements and things that I want to get off my chest, and we start out with a word from our sponsor. This episode of the Project Management Podcast is sponsored by Project Load. Project Load is a web-based project management and time tracking tool. Project Load lets teams maintain and forecast their own tasks, helps project managers track their projects, gives PMOs one place to view all projects, and provides executives valuable insight into exactly where their organization is spending their time. You can find Project Load at projectload.com. Now, the announcements that I have today are first about the sound quality. Those of you who have listened to show number 9 and show number 9.5 in particular, you may have noticed that the sound quality wasn't really up to what it was or what it used to be. Well, I tried a new microphone and I wasn't really all too happy with it. So I went back to my old microphone here and I hope to upgrade to a better microphone sometime down the road. Then I also noticed that because I put out 2 shows so quickly after each other, that some of you may have missed show 9. So here's a little trick. I know that most of you are using iTunes to download the show. So go to iTunes, open up iTunes and select Edit Preferences. And then a dialog window will open and there you click on the Podcast tab. And in the podcast tab, you have various selections that you can do, and there is one selection that says when new episodes are available, and there you select Download All. In that way, when you set it that way, it will automatically download all the latest episodes of every show that you subscribe to. It's quite handy if you're like me. I subscribe to various science shows and they sometimes put out 2, 3, 4 on the same day, and it'll download all 4 or 5 of them fully automatically. You don't have to do anything. On to your feedback, and man, there was a lot of feedback that I got from you this week. And let me start out with an IT trainer. Well, this is a training show today, so this is from Christian J. Markley. He's an IT trainer. And he writes, "Hello, Cornelius. I have just begun project management practices at my company about 3 to 4 months ago. My plan is to create a PMO in the next 2 years. I've enjoyed your podcast as it helps me better understand the PM field. I would like to know if you might have plans to discuss how a PM can balance several large-scale projects going on simultaneously." Good idea. I will definitely go into that topic sometime down the road. I've been an implementations project manager and I've had to do exactly that. And I'll give you a few best practices on how I did that. It's difficult, but it's doable. The next one I got is from Harry Fisher. This is an interesting one. Harry writes, "I really enjoy your podcast. Thanks for contributing to the PM community." Here it comes. "Last week, the ASQ Quality Progress magazine accepted an article, which he attached as well, and I was wondering if you might like me to record a short summary of this article. I read through the article and I find, whoa, this is a good one. And I wrote back to Harry telling him, yep, why don't you send over a sound file and we'll put it up right here on the show. Absolutely no problem right there. Then when you go to my blog, that's pmpodcast.blogspot.com, you will be able to read the comment which N. Babiak left. And he left that in response to the PMO show. And it's a very long one, but the essence of this all is that the number one takeaway that they have had in terms of templates they used was the meeting notes. to document the meeting notes of the project management meetings, because when there were problems, the committee that was mitigating these problems, they could go back and they could review these meeting notes, and thus the project managers were usually vindicated. And because these meeting notes helped them to, well, cover their asses, more or less, to put it bluntly, people in the future then began to actually use more and more of the templates that they provided for their PMO. So thank you, N. Babiak, for this comment. Very nice. I appreciate that. And folks, you can read the whole thing up on the website. Another one I got is from Amaral Oirat. Actually, Oirat Amaral. Amaral is his last name. And he writes, I like your informal way of communicating about the PM topics. Sometimes this is taken way too seriously. Yeah, I agree. I try to put a little bit of humor into what I do. And I enjoy this one very much, I communicated the project management podcast to the Latin America project managers in HP, Hewlett-Packard. Well, perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're helping me to get the word out here. I got one more here. This one is from Jeff Schmidt, and he tells me that he's been listening to the project management podcast while he works out in the morning. So he works out both his body and his mind. Your shows are a good way to get up to speed on the news in the world of project management and hear, and hear some real world application of the skills needed to be a good project manager. And he wrote to us from Austin, Texas. Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it very much. There's feedback from you here. Very nice. All right. Those of you who don't use a podcatcher software like iTunes or Doppler or one of the automatic downloaders, I'd just like to remind you that there is a new show notification that you can subscribe to. Just go to my blog and you will see on the left-hand side the little announcement that says never miss a show. Just click on that, subscribe, and I will send you a quick email once a new show is up, and you will not miss a show. You will, however, miss a show on Saturday, the November 26th. Actually, everybody will miss that particular show because this is the Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. For those of you outside of the US, this is the #1 holiday here. And me and my wife, we will be traveling to Arizona to our family and friends. Actually, friends in Phoenix, family in Tucson. And I will not be producing a show that week, so no show on the Saturday, November 26th. All right, and now there was a lot that was happening this week in the news. And here we go with our next segment. I got 5 items for you. 5 or 6. Here we go with the news. The first news item is called A View into Google's Inner Workings. And this comes to us from the October 25th Vortex 2005, where Douglas Merrill, who is the Senior Director of Information Technology at Google, spoke. And quick overview of this one here, he told them that for Google, information is enlightenment and not power, and the entire corporation is compelled to give information freely and learn from each other. Now, that's a different approach. In most companies, information is kept tightly and close to your chest. Don't want to give it away. Also, they talk about the innovation strategy that they have at Google. And the way they do that is they keep their employees challenged and they move them around from project to project. As an employee at Google, you only spend about 12 to 18 months in one area, and then you get moved around. Of course, that causes a lot of, movement and a lot of loss of information, but they do have what they call a Google Project Database at the center of this all. And note that they call it a reporting system and not a project tracking tool. That's also interesting. And the very, very different thing here is that everybody from engineering to sales to folks who sweep the floors can read this Google Project database and create commentary on anything within the database. So if you work at Google, you have access to their information database and you can input your ideas. Very interesting concept right here at Google. This one is from the October the 30th, 2005, and it's titled New Jersey Excellent in Technology Awards. Starts out, a total of 15 awards were presented in 7 categories during a special ceremony at the annual New Jersey Digital Government Summit. And the winner of the category demonstrated excellence in project management is, opening up the envelope here, Jim Bridgewater of the Department of Environmental Protection. He has served as a project manager for the New Jersey Environmental Management System, NJEMS, since 1999. And he got this award for his strong project management skills, which have been an incredible asset to the department. Congratulations, Jim. I'm glad to see that you won this award and that awards like this are actually in the news. Congrats. This one here is titled Panama Canal to add a third lane for megaships. It's from October 25th, 2005. And when I read this, I just thought, wow, what a project. Just the headline, the Panama Canal to add a third lane for megaships. Now imagine all the planning, all the work that needs to go into this. Absolutely incredible, considering the size of the projects that I have led. This is just mind-boggling. They talk about the fact that a national referendum on the expansion of the Panama Canal will be held next year, and that they will upgrade and including a third lane, which will make way for a new generation of post-Panamax ships that can haul twice as much as the largest ships currently can. And once again, even building such a ship is probably a humongous project, and then you gotta build a canal where it fits into. Mind-boggling. This item comes to us from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. It's from the 31st of October 2005, and it's titled Project Management Whoosh Style. And Whoosh, as far as I can tell, is a cell phone provider in New Zealand. And what they talk about is how they build their base stations, their antennas, as far as I can tell. And what they say is it's critical to view each base station as a project on its own and not just part of a production line. So they don't just build one after the other, they do one project after the other. And they seem to have been extremely successful with this. One other item they focus on is the fact that Whoosh is a matrix-type organization, meaning that people report to the functional managers, and while they build these base stations at projects, they also report to the project manager. And of course, matrix organization always leads to friction. You know, which boss do I work for as a project team, as a person who has a line manager as well? And of course, this could potentially lead to conflicts between the project manager and the functional manager. But because Whoosh makes them work closely together, and they say that this has eliminated that possible hurdle. The next one goes with congratulations to the PMI Dallas, because the Dallas PMI chapter adds 444 new PMPs in September. Wow, not bad. I think my chapter brought it up to about 63 new PMPs in September. This one is from October 31st, by the way. And they also write that the Dallas chapter of the PMI now has a total of 2,293 PMPs among its 3,500 members. Well, I see my chapter has a long way to grow. Congratulations, Chala, to Dallas. 444, that's a humongous number. And finally, well, Halloween has just passed, so I just had to add this one here into the mix. It is titled BLM Project Uncovers the Secrets of Ghost Town. This comes to us from the Billings Gazette. I believe that is Billings, Montana. And it comes out of Garnet. It starts out by saying that the Bureau of Land Management, that's the BLM, archaeologist Maria Craig knew all about the history lurking beneath thick stands of evergreens on the hillside just above the ghost town of Garnet. Now, Garnet used to be a mining town, but it's been shut down for the last 70 years. It used to be a gold mining town. And it's been attracting many tourists constantly, and they've come and they visited the ghost town. But what they didn't know is that outside of the ghost town, where they had the forests, there were additional huts and places. And so this summer, when they created a project to clear the hillsides, it was a fire hazard, they started to find all these mining huts and new shafts. So it was quite interesting for them and to find this whole complex of mining activity which was visible even with the untrained eye. So that proves once again that your projects sometimes deliver very unexpected results. Even ghost towns. And that's it for the news this week. On to our main subject today, which is training. And we'll start that out with an interview that I did with Diane Altweis from Outercore at outercoreinc.com. Outercore does training, and Outercore also recently released a new book to help you prepare for the PMP exam. And here's the interview for you.
The Project Management Podcast feature interview. Today with Diane Altweis from Outercore Incorporated.
With me today I have Diane Altweis from Outercore, and Outercore has just recently published a book called Achieve PMP Exam Success. Diane, tell us a little bit about that book.
Well, the book is a self-study guide for project managers who are looking to pass the PMP exam. It covers the 9 knowledge areas plus the performance domain of professional responsibility. This is our second edition of the book. It covers the PMBOK 2004 third edition.
That's the third edition.
It's the third edition of the PMBOK, and it is a complete study guide where the student really only needs to have the study guide and the PMBOK if they have been a project manager before.
Okay, so the student doesn't really need to buy another book. Your book and the PMBOK is good enough to prepare
if they are an
the
experienced
test?
project manager and they've been studying the PMBOK and they want just to be able to understand how the kinds of things that they're going to need to know to pass the exam and to assess whether or not they can pass the exam.
Right.
They really don't need to purchase many other books, if at all, because we do cover all the topics that are outside of the PMBOK within our PMP exam.
So all
book.
the other books that the PMI suggests and recommends you read as well,
all the
portions
topics.
of those topics are included in the book. All
Absolutely.
Right. Now there's also a CD that comes with the book. What's on the CD?
The CD, in this second edition of our book, has been significantly enhanced.
Okay.
It is a PMP practice exam CD. It has over 800 questions in it. all knowledge areas, all performance domains are covered within the exam
Right.
CD. You can create a random test of 200 questions, which somewhat simulates what happens for PMI.
Is the look and feel also similar to the actual test?
It is similar to the actual test. And then you can also, if you just know that you have a weakness in a certain knowledge area or a certain performance group,
you just select
can select a
questions from that one.
a
Okay.
smaller test sample for just those
All right.
areas to kind of focus there and get.
And will it also kind of give me my readiness? I mean, if I do this again and again, will it tell me you're now ready to take the exam?
Well,
or?
it doesn't come out and tell you that you're
Well,
ready,
yeah,
but
okay,
I mean,
but-
it does score your exams, and it does keep record and history of all the exams that you've taken, so you can actually look and see whether you've been improving and what areas you've been improving in or what areas you still have to improve in. So it does kind of assess your readiness. Obviously, the exam you have to pass with an 80% now with the third edition of the PMBOK. So you really do need to be comfortable with taking an exam
Okay.
this go around.
And this will help. This
yeah.
will help. Now, is this for worldwide target audience, or is this just the United States or the English-speaking market?
Well,
How
it
do you-
obviously is in
well,
English.
yeah, okay,
so
it's an English-speaking book.
it hasn't
Sure.
been translated into anything yet. And we are targeting people that are busy project managers that don't have time to sit through
Okay.
a 6-day or 10-day course, that really are good self-studiers, that they can do this on their own. With the PMBOK and the book, they should be
Right.
able to do this. The beauty of the book itself and the package that we provide is that it can also be used in a more structured teaching environment where you can utilize it in a 6-day, 10-day type of
Okay.
course. It can come with presentation materials for the instructor. So that's
Is that on the CD as
it's not on
well?
a CD.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of a separate thing.
So that would be a separate licensing
That's a
agreement
license-
that they would have to get in touch with you,
Correct.
you themselves.
Correct.
Now, let's talk about the why you did this book, because when I took my test, everybody was talking about Rita Mulcahy's book, and she's just dominating the market from what I can tell. Why did you decide to do this book?
Probably the simple one is competition is good, and the not so simple one is my two co-authors, Margaret Chu and Ed Walker. We recognize the need for an alternative out there, and there were people in the market that didn't like what Rita was doing and thought she was too expensive, and so we put something together that was much more reasonably priced and can be reach a greater market. And again, competition is a good thing. It
Okay.
only makes the products
Yeah.
out there better.
All right, let's put a shameless plug in here. Where can people buy the book?
It is available on Amazon.com,
Okay.
and our publisher is J. Ross Publishing.
And it is called, what is it called again? The book?
Achieve PMP Exam Success.
Okay.
And and J. Ross Publishing's website is www.jrosspub.com.
Okay. In the acknowledgement section, at the very beginning, when I looked at that, you mentioned a lot of names of people who have helped you with making this book. What was the process of making this book? Because, I mean, the third edition only came out recently, right?
Well, yeah, we actually started these materials about 4 years ago.
Wow.
With the 2000 PMBOK. We
Okay.
recognized a need for people that wanted to do a shorter prep course,
Right.
that wanted to get everything in a shorter amount of time, people that were good self-studiers. So we developed the materials ourselves, we taught it ourselves, we then self-published it, and then we formally published it with J. Ross
All right.
for the PMBOK 2000 guide,
Okay.
and then had to quickly turn around and do it for the 2004. So the process, it takes a long time to put this together. The really, I would say, great thing about this market here in Southern California is that there are a lot of people in the Orange County chapter and in this market that are very passionate about project management.
Yes.
And we got so many people
Yeah,
just
I recognized a
interested.
few names there, yeah.
So many people just interested in helping, and
Right.
nobody was expecting to be acknowledged. And so when it actually came out and passing out books, and everybody's all kind of, oh, this is great. So, I mean, we appreciate people contributing and adding their 10 cents because it only makes the product that much better.
Right. You also mentioned at the beginning you actually taught the material
Correct.
yourselves. Now, let's move over to AutoCore. What does AutoCore do?
AutoCore is a project management training organization. We provide PMP prep courses. That's our bread and butter. We do the PMP prep book and materials, and we sell those materials to other organizations, several PMI chapters and several other organizations across the country, working to grow that as well. And so one of the things that we're looking to do, we've focused a lot of our energy over the last 4 years on just PMP. Now with the growth of project management and PMI and 200,000 PMPs by the end of the year is projected, there's a huge need for those PMPs to get their ongoing PDUs so they can maintain.
Right.
So one of the things AutoCore is going to be doing in this next couple of years is really kind of tapping into the great market that we have down here with some great instructors and really knowledgeable people on doing kind of one-day seminars on various topics for people that need to get additional PDUs. So we focus on training. We offer the materials and books for organizations to use and train. We'll train the trainers.
Right. What is your greatest challenge when training PMPs who just need PDUs?
I don't see that there is. I don't see a huge challenge from that perspective. I think the only thing I would consider challenges is they've got to be interesting topics and they've got to be interesting speakers. People don't want to talk about something that's real basic. It's got to be more than the basic project management methodology.
Right.
It has to be experience-based conversation. What I find, I also teach at the University of California, Irvine, and what I find that's really great in this whole market space is the fact that project management really does go beyond goes across all industries.
Right.
And we have such an opportunity to share our experiences with people in other industries and learn from other industries, that the more people that recognize that it is a profession and that it is something that is global across many industries, there's just so much we can share to help all of us, get better at managing projects.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I asked you what was the challenge with teaching PMPs was when I took my PMP exam and I went through these classes, the one thing that we were told is, we are just teaching you how to pass the exam here. Don't bring real life examples into this classroom because all we want to do is make sure that you pass the test.
Well, now it's time to talk the real examples.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So do you in those teachings, do you have any argumentative PMPs who no, finally I have my PMP. Now I can say what I want. Does this happen in the classroom? That people are actually being aggressive almost?
No, I don't really find that. I think what people really want is practical, and so much of what we do is people-based.
Yeah.
And so the soft skills are extremely important. We kind of brush, I think even on the PMBOK, they kind of brush over the human resource and communication stuff, even though they say that it's important. But how do you take a test on how well you communicate?
Right.
So the real practical, needs that are out there are, how do you get senior management buy-in? How do you get senior sponsorship involvement? How do you get, the functional managers to, support you on what you need when you need resources? Those kinds of skills are really that practical project manager kind of skill that the person that has the PMP, they have the knowledge, but they don't have the competency yet. You can read a book and you can understand a book and you can pass the exam, but you have to be able to apply it in the everyday world, and that's what the
Future
the next training classes that we'll be having will be accomplishing.
You mentioned soft skills. Do you see, people always say we need soft skills training. Do you see a difference in people signing up for hard skills training versus soft skills training? Are there less people signing up for the soft skills?
I think there's lots of other ways to learn hard skills.
Right.
Online courses, various software vendors, there's all kinds of different ways to learn hard skills. They're pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Soft skills are one of those ones that's very situational.
Yeah.
What would I do in this situation? Here's the 3 people I'm having to deal with, and here's the personalities I'm having to deal with. How do I get them all to agree? How do I get
Right.
a Unix programmer and a Microsoft programmer to agree? Which is almost impossible, but that kind of situation that you might come across
Yeah.
that is really hard to do in kind of an online course or in a textbook. You can read up, but it's really the practice and
Yeah.
getting people to realize that it's hard.
So where's the future of training going? Is it going online or is it going classroom?
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of online courses.
Right.
But I recognize the need for them for people that live remotely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always of the mindset that if you are lucky enough to be where there's courses that you can go on site and take the class, that's the best way, because you get so much more out of it than just listening to somebody on a phone or via a computer. But if you are remote and that's the only way you have to obtain the knowledge and the experience and stuff, then you just have to really make the effort to pay attention, with the materials that you have in front of you. I mean, it is much harder because you don't have that interaction, you don't have the facial expressions,
Yeah.
you don't have the body language. It's just like working in global teams. It's really
Yeah.
difficult to make sure that you're communicating well
Right.
in a global kind of environment. Same with online courses.
Yeah. Now, online courses versus classroom training. Online courses more hard skills, classroom training more soft skills?
Yeah, you can kind of break it up that
Yeah,
way.
okay. So where's the future of Outercore going?
Well, we're going to focus on, obviously, the book and getting the book out there and,
Right,
and
right.
starting to look at getting more of the chapters and more organizations out there, because we totally expect project management training to continue to grow at the rate it's going. And then the needs of the people that we've already trained as PMPs and really fulfill their needs and help them get their PDUs. That's really our primary focus over the next
Okay.
couple of years.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Now, the reason I wanted to do training as the main subject today is because when I was at the 2005 PMI leadership meeting in Toronto, Canada, about 2 months ago, one of the recurring topics that we had was advanced project management training. If you are a PMP, you know the term PDU. It stands for Professional Development Unit, for all you non-PMPs out there. And what you need to do is, once you are a PMP, you have to gather 60 PDUs every 3 years in order to keep your PMP certification going. And you can get those PDUs by writing a project management book, by teaching, and most of us do it, of course, by attending seminars. That's just the easiest way to do it. But, as a PMP, you don't want to go to a training that says Introduction to Project Management. How many introductions to project management can you take? I mean, you want some real, live training. You want some advanced stuff, right? You want something along the lines of critical chain project management, or how to improve your communication skills with top-level executives. You want to be challenged. It's just no fun otherwise, right? So hearing these kind of statements at the leadership seminar, I was kind of surprised, because I had been providing exactly this kind of training to the project managers, to the members of my PMI chapter for about a year at the time. When I started volunteering for the PMI about 2 years ago, I was helping our programs director then, Frank Parth, to manage what he called the Advanced Topics Seminars. We held these seminars every other month or so on a Saturday morning from 8 to 12 o'clock. After about 9 months, Frank stepped down from this position to manage these seminars, and I took over. And there were a few things that I did right, and there were a few things that I did wrong when I was in charge. And today, I want to give you an overview of how you can provide advanced training opportunities to the members of your PMI or your professional organization as well. Our Advanced Topics seminars, they are one of the highlights every month in our chapter, and we have about 45 to 50 people attending on every month. And we have great attendance and great feedback. What I have for you today is a list of 10 items that I would like to go down and tell you how you can also provide this kind of training for your PMI chapter or for your professional project management organization that you are a member and volunteer of. And let me give you a quick overview of the 10, and then we'll go into the details of them all. So number 1 is you need a mission statement. Number 2 is if you are a PMI organization, you want to become a rep, that is a PMI registered education provider. 3, you need to find volunteers. 4, you have to define a schedule. Number 5, you need to find a location to hold these seminars. Number 6, of course, you have to find speakers. Number 7, you definitely want to do online seminars. Number 8, you want to start your marketing efforts. Number 9, you want to keep the price as low as you possibly can. And number 10, well, you want to hold the seminars. So let's go through these one by one. First, the mission statement. The mission statement which I defined for our seminars is as follows. The Advanced Topics seminars are the primary monthly educational event for our members. The Advanced Topics seminars provide classroom-style, in-depth training on topics related to project management. The topics help the attendees in career development, self-improvement, and collecting PDUs. As you can see, it's probably far too long for people to remember, but it keeps everybody who's working on these Advanced Topic seminars on track, because this gives some kind of an outline of where we want to be and where we want to go with these seminars. Advanced training, cheap, and for our members. Number 2, in my list here, you want to become a registered education provider if you want to do this as part of the PMI with PDUs that you're giving out. Now, the PMIOC, Orange County, where I'm a member of, they were already a rep. So I can only give you the basics here, and I don't really know what you need to do in order to really become a rep. I don't have personal experience with this. But everything you need to know you can find on the PMI website. There are a total of 10 requirements that they have on their website that you must fulfill. Just a general overview. My suggestion to you is go to my blog, and I have posted a link to the rep program of the PMI and look into it whether you want to do this or not. You can just get it started, get it rolling, and become a rep later as well. Number 3 on my list here is you need to find volunteers to help you. And this is one of the things that I did wrong, absolutely wrong, because I did it all by myself. I was the organizer of the event, I booked the speakers, I was the host, I set up equipment, I added the event on our homepage, I printed and distributed the flyers, I arranged with the university to get a room, I worked myself to the bone. It was just too much work for one person. I had a couple of volunteers involved. One person was in charge of bringing refreshments. Another one wrote the article. Actually, there were 3. And a third one was responsible for check-in at the door. But these were rotating from month to month, so I always had to find new people, and that was a lot of work to coordinate them as well. In the meantime, we have completely changed the organizational structure. We have a chair who has the overall responsibility for these seminars. Then we have a facilities coordinator who manages, of course, the facility and sets up the equipment. Then speaker coordinators who are responsible for finding the speakers. We are no longer rotating the person who's bringing in the refreshments, so that's a little bit less of an effort. And also the check-in person is usually the same person who does that. The only rotating position that we still have is the person who is writing the article for the newsletter, and the good thing is, of course, they get in for free. That's why we do this on a rotating basis. And actually, everybody who volunteers gets in for free. So the volunteers that I just read to you here, they are all have free attendance. Fourth item on my list is define a schedule. And by that I mean that what we do is we do it on the same day of the month, every month, for 12 months of the year. And we have chosen the first Saturday of the month because that, here in the United States at least, is the Saturday that falls onto the least number of holidays that we have. July and I think September we have to move it because of Labor Day and the 4th of July weekend. But otherwise it's like clockwork, first Saturday of the month. And this really helps. We normally have about 35 to 45 people attending, and they really appreciate the fact that our schedule is set, that they can count on the fact that it's on the first Saturday of every month, and that it's also only a 4-hour seminar. It's from 8 to 12 on a Saturday morning. This way they can get good training, and they are not wasting their whole weekend. They don't have to take a day off at work. It's really easy. And this rigid same day every month schedule, that also helps you in finding speakers, because when they call you up and you tell them, well, we'd like to have you in July, well, I'm booked in July, you know exactly, oh, okay, if you're booked in July, how about August, how about September, are you free on the first Saturday on these days? So it's easy for the speakers, it's easy for the people who are booking these speakers, and it's also easy to switch them around. You know, kind of like, okay, I can't in July, I have to move, I'm going on vacation. That actually happened to me. Somebody went on vacation, they had to cancel. And so they did it a month later because they knew exactly that they could easily switch. So that was number 4, define a schedule for this. Number 5, you have to find a location. We here at the PMIOC, we have a great working relationship with the UCI, that's the University of California, Irvine. And this relationship has been built and nurtured over years of working with each other. And the UCI was a key component in making our seminars a success. They have really helped us, and they have donated their rooms to us, actually. My suggestion to you is try to work with a local school, try to work with a local university as well. Because if you can get them involved, it's going to be a win-win situation for both sides. You will expose new students to them every month, and you get, hopefully, donated rooms. The problem is, of course, that sometimes you have to pay for rooms. They ask you, you can't get it for free, we need to have some payment. We get around this by giving them advertising space in our monthly newsletter that goes to about 1,500 members. And for the UCI, this is a great target audience because they also have a project management curriculum that they want to push. And of course, being able to send this to 1,500 of our members for free, well, okay, they give us a room. This is a great target audience that they can use. And what we also found is that the group of people that we want to train are PMPs, and the group of people that they want to train are usually not the PMPs, but the new project managers, the entry-level project managers who want to become PMPs, who want to move forward, or the really highly advanced stuff like Six Sigma Black Belt training, something like that takes weeks to perform. So we do not overlap there in the training that we give and the UCI gives. The other way that you can find a free room is maybe go to a community center in your area, or to find another organization, a sponsoring organization that can give you free rooms. I promise you, if you start looking around, you will find more than one organization that wants to be affiliated with your chapter or your PMI component that you have. Number 6 here on my list is you got to find speakers. Now, at first, I really thought that this would be the most difficult task in all of this delivering of training, but it's not. It's actually quite easy. We have people lining up at our doorstep, and here's the good thing, they all do it for free. Being able to present their topics in front of 35 to 45 speakers gives them the exposure. They are able to try out new things. They get contacts. So for the speakers, this is a great way to meet new people and to try out new things as well. And one thing, of course, that you have to make sure is that the person who schedules these speakers puts this on the table right away, saying that, hey, we are not paying, we are only paying for your expenses, photocopies and all of that, of course, travel, mileage and all of that. We pay for that quite clearly. And another thing that they have to make sure, the speaker coordinator, the person who books them, is just because a speaker is available on the first Saturday of the month is no reason to book this speaker. We expect, or we ask the speaker to send us an abstract of his presentation or her presentation so that we can read through it and ensure that this is in fact advanced training. And we are really stressing that fact. And here are some of the presentations that we've had this year. We've had Critical Chain Project Management by Alan Elder. We've had Advanced Schedule Risk Analysis by David Hewlett. There was Project Management Using Both Sides of Your Brain by Barbara Ansel and Michelle Sackerly. And we had Kimi Ziemski, who presented Communication, the Killer Competency. Granted, many of these speakers are, of course, members of our PMI chapter of our organization, so they're willing to do it for free. But I promise you, once the word gets out, what great program you're offering, what a great exposure you're giving to these speakers here, they will come your way as well. One item that always keeps popping up is, of course, paying for these speakers. And we have a simple rule: we don't, like I said earlier. And so far, I haven't had to pay a speaker. I've paid them their expenses, but I've never had to pay any speaker fees. And if somebody just asks for a fee and doesn't budge, then thank you very much. We're very happy to work with you, but unfortunately we don't have the budget to bring you in. Yeah. Number 7, do online surveys, please. When I did everything by myself, I also did manual surveys, and that cost me about 45 minutes to an hour every week to type in the survey results. If you do online surveys, granted, you will lose about 25 to 50% of your feedback, but it saves you a heck of a lot of time. We are using SurveyMonkey. And I'm not saying it's the best thing, it's just the one service that our chapter is using. We're happy with it and it works quite well. We have a volunteer that manages that. They send out an email to everybody who attended, and the time savings, it's really that made it for me. I didn't like the idea of going online at first, but once I saw that, hey, you win an hour every week, every month, it's amazing. Item number 8 on my list here is start your marketing. For the first few seminars that you're doing, you definitely want to create hype. Try to book the best speakers that you can. Send out electronic and paper announcements. Have the volunteers who help you with this carry flyers and hand them out at every single opportunity you get. Take about 2 to 3 months to build up to this. Get the word out to the PMPs, to the project managers in your area, and make sure that they understand that this is a great way for them to get their PDUs going. And one thing that we learned the hard way is the fact that when you do marketing, you need to have a jazzy title. It needs to sound good. The title has to be catchy. It has to sell the event for you. But just as important is the WIFM in the little blurb that you write about it. WIFM stands for What's in It for Me. And of course, that's what every person who wants to go to the seminar looks at. I mean, okay, there's a seminar. What can I learn from it? So make sure that you're talking to their needs. Don't just say, we will discuss earned value. Say, the attendees will learn how to use earned value in their everyday projects. So make it valuable for them to attend your training, and this will boost your attendance quite a bit. Now, the tools, marketing tools that we are using is word of mouth, because people know it's always on the first Saturday of the month. We hand out a flyer at our monthly dinner meeting. We have a paper newsletter. We have an electronic newsletter. We have our website. And that's about it. Those are our marketing tools that we're using. Item number 9 on my list is keep the price as low as you possibly can. We are a non-profit organization, so we can easily do that, and not making a profit for us is okay. Currently, we make about $200 to $300 on every seminar because we only charge $25 for attending this 4-hour seminar, and the PMPs, they can claim 4 PDUs. So it's $25, 4 hours for 4 PDUs. That is an incredible bargain. The $200 to $300 that we make every month on this will help us to be able to bring in speakers from a little farther away, maybe fly them in or pay their travel expenses and all that. So in the end, my goal is to keep this really self-sufficient, so that we don't lose any money on this. And if you are a non-profit organization like us, doing a seminar at this low cost is one of the best things that you can do for your members. Number 10, of course, you need to hold the seminars. Well, duh, you might say, but what I mean is, how do you hold them? The thing that I found works best is to have a checklist that you can give to your team. And I did that. I have a detailed checklist which I prepared and handed out over to the team when they took over. So they know exactly that, we have to print the flyers 4 weeks in advance of the seminar. We have to once again confirm with the speakers 3 weeks in advance, making sure that they're still okay with all of this. And 2 weeks in advance, we confirm the room. 1 week in advance, we make sure we have a person coming in to write the article for the newsletter, etc., etc., etc. And this checklist will, of course, help to keep the quality of the seminars up, and it'll help the volunteers not to forget anything. Because the thing that I noticed is, even though I did it alone and month after month after month, I kept forgetting things and I didn't bring things, and it was just so much easier if you had a checklist and you could go down this particular checklist. Well, those were the 10 things, and this is my cookbook on how to deliver great advanced training for the PMPs in your area. And I would greatly suggest that you try something like this as well. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. In my next show, we will be looking at the PRINCE project management methodology, and that will mark the start of a few shows in which I am going to look at various project management methodologies. As always, you can find us on the web at pmpodcast.blogspot.com, or you can send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com. And when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. There are no new project management sins, just old ones repeated. With that, never send a project status report that is longer than 1 page. Otherwise, nobody will read it. Until next time.